Good morning. Getting ready to make up some potting mix here. Again with peat, cow, a little bit of native soil, and some perlite. Today is the day we're gonna pot up some of these squash. They're getting out of control here in the starter pots, in the starter tray. And I'm gonna use these 7-gallon fabric containers. They're absolutely not ideal for squash. Squash get giant. They require a lot of water. And if you put them in pots, they require even more water. And if you put them in fabric pots, they require even more water than that. Also, you have to feed them more often because obviously stuff drains out and it goes out of the pot really fast. So I am gonna try something different this year. I've grown in fabric pots before. As you can see, they're kind of dirty and have still have some root residue left over on them. I'm gonna try these plastic liners and set them in the liners, and hopefully that'll help retain some water. Just have to be careful that you don't let it sit in water constantly, because you don't want those roots, to get all yucky, and you don't want any kind of disease or anything to get into your plants from sitting in water constantly. So that's what we're gonna do today, and we'll touch back as we get these plants inside the pots. Okay, we have 6 squash potted up. We went with 4 of the slick pick squash from Haas, and the 2 on the end here are straight neck summer squash. I believe these are burpee seeds. I know they came from Home Depot, but Home Depot carries 2 or 3 different type of seeds, but I believe these are the burpee ones. So we're gonna compare the 2 varieties and see which one we like better. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be slick pick. This gets pretty good reviews, and the people that I've seen grow them love them. So that's what we got going on right now. I know, again, these pots aren't ideal for these, but the plot isn't quite ready yet, nor is the back one. So this is what we have. You got to grow something, got to get started. Obviously this isn't our first time gardening, but we have been out of gardening for a couple of years. Just life got the best of us. So we're jumping back into it, and we have a lot of stuff to revamp, rebuild, redo, and this is just us getting a jump on it. Today we're going to be doing a little project called stepping up our seedlings. It's not something I usually do. I usually go from the seedlings right into the pot that we're planting them in, or the in-ground. But I decided to go this year with these 3.5 inch pots that I purchased on Amazon. I think I paid 21 or 22 bucks for 60 of these. I've stepped up small vegetable plants once or twice in the past, and it worked okay. But this year I planted an abundance of them. And after I get them in the ground, I'll have, a few dozen left over in the seed trays that I'm not sure what to do with. So instead of throwing them away, I decided to go ahead and step them up and give them out to friends and family, and hopefully have them enjoy some of the starts that we have this year. All right, we just pluck the seedling out of the tray. Put a little bit of mix in there. Mash it down. Take the seedling, kind of put it in the middle there as best we can. And I just kind of sprinkle the mix around the edges, trying to keep it in the middle. And just kind of mash it around the edges, get it nice and tight. That one we didn't get in the middle, but that's okay. Try to do the best you can at centering it, and we did not do that. All right, that's how we step them up. All right, we'll do one more here on cam, see if I can get this one centered. And we put a little bit on the bottom. Drop the start center as we can. All right, that one we did good. All right, that's what we have. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these off cam, and I'll show you the finished product. The mix I go with to step up these little transplants is I go with the Kellogg, this Organic Plus. It is OMRI certified, and it says you can use it in raised bed along with potting mix. I've used it before in the past, and it's a good mix. It's got a lot of organic matter in it. What I do is I do half of straight peat moss and half of the Kellogg mix, and then I add my own perlite to it. You can see it, again, it's really nice and fluffy, and I think it's perfect for these transplants. All right, we got 2 trays transplanted up. We got Bella Rosa in one tray and Brickyard tomatoes in the other. We're gonna see how these go. These trays you can get from Home Center at the garden center at the home stores. They just usually throw them away or give them back to the vendor. But if you ask, they're usually free. Sometimes they have them even stacked up by the register. So when customers buy a lot of these single plants, you can just take them home. But they work really good for these 3.5-inch pots. You can also get obviously round step-up pots as well. We still have a lot left in the trays. This one we have almost full tray still. There's a lot of cherry tomatoes in that tray, sunflowers, a couple other things. And after we transplant these into the step-up pot, I like to come back with this AgroThrive organic general purpose. I usually do 2 ounces to a gallon, and that's actually what I fertilize these with as well. I don't know if I mentioned that in previous videos, but I'll definitely do it with the step-up transplants. It just helps minimize transplant shock, and it's a 3-3-2 formula, so it isn't really a hot mix, so there's really no risk of burning it unless you do a foliar spray, a foliar feed, and let it sit in the sun, which I do not recommend doing because you will most likely lose your starts. But using at 2 ounces per gallon, these will definitely help in preventing transplant shock. I'm not going to say it's going to stop it totally, but it'll help. All right, we planted a few starts this morning in this big pot. I think these are, oh my gosh, I think they're 30 gallon, maybe 35 gallon. But we have 3 Everglades tomatoes in that one, and that's a 13 gallon tote. And that one is, oh my gosh, I think there's a Sun Gold tomatoes in that one. And the one on the end also has Everglades tomatoes in it. Okay, today's project is laying out the drip irrigation for the tomato run. I went ahead, I had to go get a couple parts at the store to finish this job off. When you guys are doing this, just a tip, lay it out the day before. The main tube, the main pipe, lay it out before. It does develop a memory, and if you lay it out in the sun, just put a couple bricks on the ends, lay it out in the sun, it'll soften up, and it'll lose that memory, so it's a little bit easier to work with. So let's get this laid out. Okay, we got the drip irrigation all installed. I went ahead and put a bunch in because I'm not sure what we're going to plant after tomatoes. So obviously you can come back in and put a goof plug or another type plug at the actual supply line where the spaghetti tube comes out at, or you can plug the spaghetti tube as well. Not really sure what the technical term of that little tube is, the tan tube there, but if it's too much water for whatever I plant in the future, you can just plug it up. It's not a big deal. So I went ahead and put a bunch of them in just because I wasn't sure what we're gonna do later. But you can see this is a 1 gallon per hour drip, and you can move these things, the little stakes. You can kind of move them wherever you want, put it at the plant base. They're real cool. I've used these before in the past. They're not my favorite, but they're economical and they work fairly well at getting the water directly where you need it to go without water waste, and most importantly, without water splashing up on your plant's leaves, which is, you know, a killer for most plants, especially tomatoes. But it's an easy system. You have your connection to your supply line, and then you have a filter. Your filter goes on first, and this is a PSI reduction piece, so you don't blow the tubes off when you turn your hose on. But that's it for that, and we'll hopefully be at planting stage the next time we record. We did put up the chicken wire. It's a 24-inch high chicken wire, and we went all the way around the in-ground garden and the box garden here. This is all left over from different projects. Gosh, we must have reused this chicken wire at least 3 or 4 times over the past several years, and we are huge on repurposing and reusing things we have here on the farm. These T-posts, I'll show you these T-posts. These T-posts have seen better days. They are rusty all the way down, but that's okay. I don't care. Nobody else cares. We are not about having all new shiny things here on the farm. Definitely not bougie, that's for sure. But that's it. We wanted to show that we did get that up, and pretty much we're ready to plant now. All right, that's going to do it for this video. We've got our transplants all set out, along with our seed trays, and we're going to keep an eye on these for the next couple days to make sure they don't go into shock. If we got to add some more of that fertilizer to it, we will, but I don't expect anything to happen. It's a pretty solid process. Other than worms getting on our plants, we should be okay. So until next time, we shall see you.